So here's the real question. How do dentists like you, who aren't willing to let insurance dictate how you will run your practice, who want to create incredibly profitable practices without sacrificing your time or sanity, how do you create the strategies to ensure your practice not only survives, but thrives in the 21st century? That's the blaring question, and Dr. Steve Schalintz is here to provide the answers. Welcome to Dental Practice Freedom Radio.
Hey everybody, this is Dr. Steve Schalintz, and I want to welcome you back to another episode of Dental Practice Freedom Radio. And so excited to be able to share with you this podcast episode today. And it kind of is a spur of the moment podcast where I think this is so important for dentists to be thinking about in their practice. I had two discussions today, and one was at 7 in the morning, one was at 8 in the morning, and it's phenomenal to me how closely related these were. And then I got a text from a little mastermind group that I have, and so some of you might be listening to this podcast, so thank you. It was a culmination of everything in the morning mixed with this program that I'm currently studying about systems-based thinking. And I'm spoiled. I know that a lot of my early training in my dental career was based on Peter Senge and MIT and systems-based thinking. And so I think this is one of the most important skills for a dentist to learn, but it's one that's not typically taught to dentists, is how to think in systems and not necessarily linearly in parts. You have to understand that your dental practice is a system. And the system involves variable components that, when used correctly and they interconnect with themselves, can create a very successful end result. So dentists ask me all the time, like, what's more important? Like, this clinical, should I go to this training program? Should I do this? Should I be working on my management? Should I be working on my ads? What should I be working on? And the reality is they're all vitally important. If you don't have clinical skills, it doesn't matter how good you get with the new patient experience if you're not able to develop a system that allows you to do more advanced technical training. I would never put a patient through a 2-hour process that has, the potential for somebody to get whether it's a full mouth rehabilitation or maybe you're doing airway dentistry and you have a specific end result that you want your patient to go through. But if you don't have the clinical skills, the new patient process isn't going to matter. But if you have the clinical skills and the new patient process isn't there, you won't get an end result either. And I spend a lot of time helping dentists with the new patient process and becoming more of an expert in your field and the sales process that's involved with getting patients to say yes to, larger scale treatment. But the reality is I also help people at some level understand what's out there technically, because you need to be able to do that. I understand major schools of thought in technical dentistry, how to do those major schools of thought, to be able to guide the process that this dentist is putting their patients through to be able to be on the end result, able to do more comprehensive dentistry. So the reason I bring this up is because the system itself is vital. And so every dentist is going to probably have 2 or 3 areas in their system of practice that is not allowing them to do more of what it is they're capable of doing. And so I encourage you, the listener, to be thinking more systems-based. Now, this is a skill that must be developed. Dentists are not by nature systems-based thinkers. We were trained in dental school. This is not our fault. This is how we were trained. We were trained that we do this class, then this class, then this class, then this class, and we do it this way, and we prep it this way, and we etch it this way, we bond it this way, and we get a result. What we don't think about is if I'm doing a composite on number 15, that's an occlusal, what I typically think is if I prep it the right way, etch it the right way, bond it the right way, place the composite in layers the right way, cure it the right way, do all of this, isolate it the right way, I will get the end result that I want. That's a linear way of thinking about things. A systems way of thinking about things is, how does the tongue affect this? How does the joint affect this? How does the body affect this? How does the material affect the body and the reaction to affect this? So the problem with systems-based thinking is it's very complicated and very complex. But the key is to be able to think in a system and then bring it back and simplify it. So I want you to be thinking of your practice as if it's an organism. It's a living, breathing entity that has all these different subsystems that relay back to the bigger system. And start to analyze your practice as a system. It's not the ads, guys. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I said, okay, so you want to grow your practice, and you want to go from X to Y. What do you think is stopping you from doing that on your own? Well, I think I need more ad spend. I'm working with a marketer. And listen, guys, that's not it. That is not it. Stop doing that. It's not the marketing. The marketing is just one component of the system. So if your delivery system isn't right, it doesn't matter about the marketing. If your technical skills aren't there, it doesn't matter whether it's the marketing. If your technical skills are there, but your marketing is then lacking, then it may be the marketing, but it's still one component of the system. We have to stop thinking as dentists that there's one magic bullet, that if we just got that one magic bullet, everything would take care of itself. Most likely, there will never be a magic bullet for you. The magic bullet is systems-based thinking in your practice. Understanding how your Facebook ads lead to case acceptance on the back end. If you're getting $5 leads into your practice that are implant leads, and it costs $2 to get an implant lead, but those implant leads never show up in your practice, you spend all this time on wasted consult time because they never commit to coming into the practice to begin with because they didn't spend any money. Understand that Facebook ad may be generating clients for you at $2, but costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars on the back end of wasted appointment time. Start thinking in systems. You have to understand the interconnectedness of this. And if you don't think that way, the first step is getting training on how to think in the system, because these components do factor into the overall success of your practice. My suggestion is always, if you are trying to grow the revenue in your business or your practice, marketing should not be your first focus. The answer is not more new patients. I know that sounds crazy because most consultants and coaches are telling you it's all about new patients. That's not true. Listen, if you're getting 40 new patients a month, but your revenue, you're collecting, let's say, $500,000 in your practice, but you're getting 40 new patients a month, there's something else in the system that isn't working. It's not the new patients. It's not. Getting 80 new patients will not mean that you double the revenue if you're used to getting 40. You won't be able to handle it. You have to be thinking bigger picture with your practice. And this is the number one thing that I see most dentists struggling with right now. And it's not your fault. If you're a dentist listening to it, it's not your fault. It's the information you're getting. It's the way you've been trained. And it's the linear approach that you're taking with your thought process. And it's because most of us as dentists right now, we're struggling. Even though the economy is doing really, really well right now, most of us are struggling because of commoditization of dentistry. Prices are going down, reimbursement rates are going down. And if you think that marketing is the answer, a better website, all of these things are vital. As you listen to the podcast, I don't want you to think that I'm mad at marketers. I'm not. Marketing is vital. But that might not be the part of the system that actually is breaking down. Once you think in systems, then you can figure out where the bottlenecks are. Where are the patients getting lost in this process? And the reality is, if you can't get 40 new patients or 20 new patients or 10 new patients a month to consistently say yes to your best dentistry, scaling the amount of patients you get in a given month is not going to solve your problem. So you got to be thinking systems in your practice. Understand that whatever you think is probably the problem is probably not the problem. And it's easier to focus internally on your practice and get the system right before you start to bring in external outputs into your system. It's a major concept that, obviously I can't give it justice in a 15-minute podcast episode. But if you can get one thing out of this podcast, start to think of your practice as a living, breathing entity and an organism that has systems in which they all need to be interconnected and working together in order for you to get the best possible result for your practice. It's not one thing or the next thing. It's not a dichotomy. It's not a yes or no answer. These things are connected. Your marketing plays into your new patient process. Your new patient process plays into your case acceptance. Your case acceptance goes to your ability to do technical dentistry and create a successful result that patients will leave testimonials and feedback to get more new patients, to bring through the process, to get more acceptance, to get more success. And you can see how that's a circle, right? And every one of those elements has to be there. And if any one of those elements is breaking down, you have to be able to fix it in the context of the entire system. So that's my daily rant. I know I was a little bit, I raised my voice on my podcast, but it's very important. This is very important. I care about this very deeply. As dentists, we are highly technically trained. We've spent ridiculous amounts of money learning to do what we're meant to do. Let's go impact patients' lives, and let's focus on the systems of the practices that we have. And this is something that I work on all the time with dentists. This is kind of my unique thing. I was writing down this morning, like, what's my zone of genius? And my zone of genius is helping doctors that are ready to take their practice to the next level in terms of creating a more expert-based business, a more wellness-based center. How do you put that into your practice? How do you do it effectively? That's my zone of genius. You know, I have dentists I turn away all the time. Like, they go, well, I just want to do more crowns. I said, is there anything else that you want out of your practice? No, I just want to do more crowns, make more money. No, I'm not going to take them as a client. It's not consistent with my value system. I want dentists to say, hey, I'm ready to make an impact. I'm ready to change the lives of the patients that I serve. This is the kind of dentistry I do. I want to do more of it. Those are the clients that I'm looking for. So I think of my own business, my consulting, my coaching business. It is also a system. If I get the wrong inputs, which is the wrong clients into my program, my output will be bad, and that will affect directly who now gets back into my system. Does that make sense? So all of business is a system. The better you understand your system, the more successful you'll be. That's me repeating it 88 times. But if you get value out of this podcast, I encourage you to, and it would be grateful if you leave a review, leave a rating. You guys are doing phenomenal. I'm getting reviews all the time, which is great. If you want to learn more about the approach that I take with dentists and how I can help dentists, I encourage you to go on this link in the bio. There's a new free training that I'm offering. It's a case study of how I built my practice the way that I did, and how I'm helping other dentists create programs and businesses just like this. I would encourage you to check that out. And until I see you at the next episode, take care.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode on Dental Practice Freedom Radio with Dr. Steve Schalintz. We'll see you on the next episode.